Hello hunters, welcome back to Bloodborne. Today we're going to be hunting the Blood-Starved Beast and Amelia. Both bosses I've seen people online struggling with a lot, and I'll be showing you how to use a few key items and exploration to make them easy. Now that's a lot of content to cover, so a lot of this video is going to be fast forwarded, otherwise it'll be way too long, but I'll be slowing things down to point out important items and boss strategies. Now up the path here on the right, there's a small area with a few giants and a whole load of bloodstone shards, easily enough to allow you to upgrade your weapon to +3. I did this between videos to save on time, so I won't bore you with the footage, as you don't have to do it. There's plenty of shards in Oeden too, but it can make life easier in the long run and give you a few extra levels. This next area is pretty straightforward. There's some loot on the right there and a bunch of enemies. The thing I wanted to point out was the use of pebbles here to pull enemies one at a time and make packs more manageable. I'm sure this is pretty obvious to some of you guys, especially those of you who've played Souls games before, but I figured it was worth pointing out to newcomers. It can really help you out in the long run. Anyway, head around the left side and into the chapel. If you head through the door on the opposite side here and down the stairs, you'll run into Alfred. After speaking to Alfred, he gives you the fire paper, which is really useful against the first few beast bosses.
Take this. Beast hunt.
Make sure you pick up the antidotes behind the stairs here, then drop down, and before heading straight to the lamp, head to your right and pick up the pungent blood cocktails behind the barrels here. Head back to the dream, spend your echoes and upgrade your weapon, then head through to Oeden. I'm going to fast forward through much of Oeden since there's not a whole lot of important stuff here, but I'll stop and point out the important things. Once you've dealt with these crows, head round to the side of the building here to collect some more fire paper. But be careful, the machine gun hunter can still target you here. This next area hides an ambush, which can be quite tricky for new players. There's about 8 or 10 enemies out here, and while you're fighting them, the Gatling gun hunter can target you the whole time. This can be really frustrating to deal with, so run out, grab a few enemies and bring them back inside where you can fight them one at a time. The area to our right here has us fighting an NPC hunter for the first time, and has a few nice items, especially for a blood tinge build. It's entirely optional, but it grants a good amount of blood echoes and an armor set, so I recommend clearing it out. I cut out my fight with the hunter here, as I was trying to get him to do a trick that I could show you guys, but he wouldn't play nice and it took me ages. My only suggestion is that you fight him as close to the ramp as possible, so the Gatling gun hunter can't target you. He drops 6 bone marrow ash when killed, which is a consumable item that greatly increases the damage of your next gun attack, an amazing item for blood tinge builds, especially when combined with a repeating pistol. Climb the ladder on the left here, but don't head up the next one to the top of the tower. The hunter there will be hostile to you and packed quite a punch, but will be friendly later after we kill another boss. If you strike this bit of rope here on the right, you can drop the chandelier down onto the enemies below, making life easier for yourself when you drop down. Make sure you pick up the ritual blood from the altar here. It's our first material for making chalice dungeons, which are useful places to find upgrades, gems and special items, and are especially important if you're doing an arcane build. There's a shortcut here on the right at the top of the ladder that will take you back up to where the hunter was under the machine gun. In the alleyway behind this house, you'll find 6 Beast Blood Pellets. Beast Blood Pellets are a consumable item that temporarily grant you the Beasthood trait, increasing your damage with successive attacks. This bar stacks up really quickly when you use transformation attacks with L1 and can add up to a huge amount of damage over an extended fight. If you head to the top of the stairs here, you'll find this gate, which opens a shortcut to the start of the area, below where we found the first Wandering Madness with the Bloodstone Shards. So here we are outside the boss fight, let's get ourselves ready. Make sure you have beast blood pellets, molotovs, fire paper, blood cocktails and antidotes on your bar ready to use. If you're really having trouble with the fight, you can run over to this red light here and spend some insight to summon Alfred to help you. However, I don't really recommend this as it adds a lot of health to the boss. So the strategy here is simple. The boss is a blood-starved beast, so let's give him some blood. Buff your weapon with fire paper and eat a beast blood pellet, then run into the right corner here and throw a cocktail at the wall. Start spamming transform attacks into the boss to build up the beast meter. If he does escape, don't panic. Just throw another cocktail and start over, or stick to the boss's right side and keep hitting. After about 5 seconds or so of attacking, throw another cocktail at the wall to keep him distracted and keep working him down. As you can see, the combination of just a few upgrades, a serrated weapon, fire and beasthood makes you do a huge amount of damage, completely skipping his deadly third phase. And that's it guys, simple as that. Once the boss is dead, head back to the dream, spend your echoes, and go back to Oeden Chapel. With the death of the blood-starved beast, you'll find these doors are open now, so head up, grab the communion room from the chest and the Formless Oeden room from the chapel, and make your way through the workshop. Head to the top of the tower first to collect the Radiant Sword Hunter's Badge, which will allow you to purchase fire paper in the Hunter's Dream should you run out. Then back to the bottom and kill the Wandering Madness here for your first twin Bloodstone Shards. There's a few important items in the workshop here. The old Hunter's Bone, the umbilical cord, an important story item, the hairpin, which can be given to the doll for a special blood gem, and the doll set. The doll set can be sold for 35,000 blood echoes, and is the second worst armour set in the game. So if you aren't concerned with collecting everything, or have no plans to wear it, it's a nice way to pick up some free levels. Down this right passage you'll find a brainsucker guarding some treasure. These guys can be quite tricky early on in the game, so if you're feeling lazy like me, you can just one-shot them with a Molotov cocktail. The treasure it guards is a waning fire blood gem, an essential item for arcane builds, but largely unimportant for any other kind of build. Activate this lever to open a shortcut to Oeden Chapel, then head up this ladder over here to pick up some numbing mists. Amelia has the ability to heal once you get her below half HP, but you can prevent that with one of these items. Usually she won't have time to get a heal off in the fight if you do it right, but it's worth grabbing anyway. After dealing with those two enemies, head back through the gate and activate the lever on your left, opening another gate to the main courtyard. Clear out the enemies in this area or just run past them, then head to the narrow passageway on the right side of the courtyard. Now that that's dealt with, head through the tunnel here and watch out for another brainsucker on the right. As ever, fire is incredibly effective, so if you have any Molotov cocktails handy, they'll make dealing with these guys much easier. Behind the brainsucker are some more twin bloodstone shards. The next few minutes are going to be me advancing a few NPC quests, so if you want to skip forward, I'll put an annotation on screen and you can click that to carry on. Make sure you pick up the poison knives on the right here, as they come in especially handy with our fight with Henrik. If you want to save the NPCs in this area, tell the woman to go to Oeden Chapel, but the male NPC on the other side doubts you, and goes to the opposite place you tell him. So if you want him alive, tell him to head to Josefka's clinic. Now that we've used the levers to open the shortcut and the gate to the courtyard, Eileen will appear outside the church here on the left. Upon exhausting her dialogue, Henrik will appear in the area we previously fought Gascoigne. The Henrik fight can be quite challenging though, so let's grab some upgrade materials for our weapon before engaging him. Also worth noting, there's an NPC summon here who can assist you with the Amelia Fight if you're having trouble. Again, I don't recommend it, but it's an option if you'd like to try it out. Now head up to the Cathedral, but don't make your way inside just yet. Head to the right hand side and walk to the edge of the cliff. Drop down onto this roof and make your way around the left side. If you walk slowly enough, you can avoid the hunters noticing you. Once you've dealt with the Snatcher, drop down to the ledge below to collect another Twin Shard, then down to the area below and kill the snipers and executioners. If you pull the second executioner from range with a pebble or gunshot, you won't scare off the wandering madnesses that are next to them, and can kill them more easily after dealing with the executioner. If any of the wandering madnesses escape, and you're worried you've lost them forever, don't panic. If you exit the game and reload, any wandering madnesses that weren't killed will respawn, and you'll be able to kill them and collect your upgrade materials, as you can see here. You should now have 10 or 11 twin bloodstone shards, more than enough to upgrade your weapon to +5. So head back to the Dream, upgrade your weapon, and then head back to Oeden Chapel. Here we're heading down to where we first fought Gascoigne, to continue Eileen's questline. It isn't mandatory to complete Eileen's questline, but it only takes a couple of minutes and rewards us with a pretty good rune later in the game. To kill Henrik, drop down to where you found the brooch on Viola's corpse, then drop down again to end up behind him. This will allow you to get a free backstab. As he gets up, throw poison knives at him until he's poisoned. 2 is usually enough. Then land a few hits, which will prompt Eileen to join the fight. Eileen won't become immediately hostile towards you if you hit her a couple of times whilst battling Henrik, but I like to play things safe, so run behind him while he's distracted with Eileen and backstab him. Between the poison and Eileen's damage, he'll go down pretty quick. If you're worried about Eileen dying, just shoot him over and over from a safe distance to stagger him and help Eileen out. After he's dead, speak to Eileen to gain a rune and gesture, then head to the Cathedral to fight Amelia. Before we head into the fight, let's get ourselves ready. Make sure you have fire paper, beast blood pellets and numbing mist on your bar, as well as any spare Molotov cocktails and bone marrow ash if you're using a blood tinge build. As you can see, I'm using a +5 sword spear with some low level blood gems, and I'm level 35 with 20 vitality. I also have a few points in strength and 20 blood tinge, since this playthrough was going to be used for my blood tinge guide, but I don't use my gun at all in the fight, so don't worry if your stats are different. In fact, I'd recommend putting all your levels into vitality prior to this fight. As with the Bloodstarved Beast fight, we want to start out with using fire paper and a beast blood pellet. Amelia takes most damage when you strike her in the head, but this can be difficult to do with it being so high up. However, if you deal enough damage to her front or rear limbs, she'll lower her head, allowing you to visceral her for huge damage. You can attack either the arms or the legs. I prefer to go for the legs since it's easier to get to, but it doesn't matter as long as you kill both sides. Use transformation attacks to stack up your beast meter and she'll go down pretty quick. If you see her raise up onto her back legs and white light appearing around her hands, she's casting her heal, so throw a numbing mist at her to prevent it. And down she goes. Well, that about does it for this guide. This is where the game really opens up and you can make some decisions for yourself. You can head into the Forbidden Woods through the right side of Cathedral Ward where the Brainsucker was, right out of the cathedral we're in to go to Hemwick, left out of the cathedral to the Nightmare Frontier, or get kidnapped by a Snatcher and head to Yahar Ghul. The choice is yours. Now it largely depends on your build, so if you're doing a Blood Tinge or Arcane playthrough, I'll have videos coming out soon with more detail on where to go and how to get the important weapons and items that make those builds shine. But for now, I'll call it a night. Thanks for watching.